2, 1. The best in most country, Hoppy Valley's Big Froggy 101, a topper on the afternoon hop home. In studio right now, our very special guest, Kendall Phillips. Kendall, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Now, you had some trouble getting here. I want to clear that up really quickly and get it out of the way. Explain what happened. This is actually a really funny story.
Well, we drove from Kentucky actually last night, and then today when we got into town, our GPS just stopped working. And then my cell phone tried to pull up the map on Google Maps, and that didn't work either. So we ended up just driving around in circles here in State College, and it was not a fun sight. People were honking and going, "What's going on?" Like, we have no idea where we are. But thankfully we found it after driving in a housing district.
And a few winding roads along the way, a few mountaintop roads along the way with some bad weather conditions.
Oh, it was terrible. We slid off the road here in, I guess it was the Appalachian area, and mountains on top of mountains, sliding, just so much snow. So much snow. And I mean, just the terrain is so different because you're on top of a mountain going downhill, and then the road just winds, and so you're not used to that in Indiana. And
that's bad enough to tackle the way it is in normal weather, but you factor in ice and snow and all kinds of other stuff that just makes it even more miserable than it normally would be.
Yes, it was not pleasant. I know a few times we could hear the brim on the side of the road start going, we're like, we're off-roading it. No, center.
And you are from Indiana, born and raised,
yes.
So you're used to the heartland, just kind of flat roads as far as the eye could see.
Yes, the glaciers did us in as far as anything exciting with the terrain. It is flat, very, very flat, and, you know, it's not difficult to drive in the snow simply for the fact that there's nowhere to go.
Now, for some people who may know the name Kendall Phillips, there's a really good reason for that. You were on American Idol a couple years ago.
Yes, I did Idol.
What was that experience like? So I've known people who've auditioned before, didn't get to Hollywood like you did, and they usually say it's totally different than what you see on TV.
Oh, they are so true with that. It is completely different from what you see on TV. It's reality television, and people who watch reality television typically have the understanding that it's not real. So, you know, it was difficult, but it was really eye-opening as to what this industry is like. And when you're 16 years old going for it, you have in your mind that everything's, you know, Candyland and it's going to work out. But then you get on reality television and it's an eye-opener. You know, there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that you don't even see on television. And there are cameras all the time. You're never alone. So that, you know, that definitely opens your eyes to what things are really like and human nature as well. I mean, people fight.
So when you walked into that room, you see Simon, Randy, and Paula sitting there. Like, what was your first reaction walking in, like realizing, you know, I've seen these guys on TV for years already, but now finally here I am experiencing what so many others have in the past?
Honestly, it was don't forget to breathe because I was so nervous. My knees were shaking. And what people don't realize is you have about 4 auditions prior to getting to Simon, Paula, and Randy. So you've already auditioned for the executive producers, the, you know, top heads of NBC, or I guess it would be Fox, so sorry. And you audition for them, and then you audition for another group of casting directors. So, I mean, it's a long process. So you're already tired and you get used to it. But then when you actually get on TV, they actually record it. It is a completely different scene because in the room, you walk in, there's the panel of judges, and then to their left, which you never see on camera, are the executive producers with little ear sets telling the judges, you know, what they think and this and that so that they can communicate. So you're not in a room solely with them. You're in a room filled with people, camera crews, and so it's even more nerve-wracking than it is if you were to just walk into a room with just the judges and it was, you know, a private audition, but it's definitely not.
So reality television, there's more than meets the eye.
Oh, yes. Yes, but I mean, heck, who thought reality television was real anyway?
Exactly. But you get that golden ticket, and what is that feeling like when they say you're going to Hollywood?
I couldn't believe it at first, because Randy was the first one to say something, and he said no. So I thought, well, shoot, I'm not going through, because Randy was typically the kinder one of, you know, Simon and Paula. Paula said definitely yes, so I was just hoping that Simon would say yes, and he did. He believed in me, and he said, you're going through. So that was so exciting. And especially the fact that Simon put me through, you know, the hard one, said you've got it. So that meant a lot.
So you're probably sitting there just shaking, saying, oh my God, it's Simon will determine my fate. Of all the 3 judges, it's Simon that determines your fate.
It was horrible. It was the longest, it probably only took 5 seconds, but it was the longest time of my life just waiting. And he has such a poker face. So he's not going to sit there and smile. He's contemplating and talking, about, well, yes, you are young. You're awfully young, but you have got something there. And he looks at Paula, and Paula's pleading with him, and Randy's just, oh, I said no, so I'm not doing this, dog. And he finally said yes, and that just made my world turn upside down.
So when you got to Hollywood, what was that experience like after, you got through the audition process, and now you're finally on the big stage?
It was just terrifying, exhausting. They flew you out there, and they break you up into different groups, and so you have rehearsals, but you can't go back to your room. You have to sit in this room where they can film you all day long. So from 6 in the morning then until 4:30 in the morning the next morning, you're awake, trying to rehearse, listening to other people sing, listening to other people fight, trying to get with groups, and it's really exhausting. And then you go and you perform your 30-second song, and then you go back and sit down. And then you go back and perform your other 40-second song and sit down, and it's like that for the extent of Hollywood.
So for anyone else that's out there that might want to go audition for American Idol in the future, you're getting the straight story from Kendall Phillips right now, because there's just so much more that meets the eye.
It is, and just be prepared for anything. Be prepared, and make sure that you take care of yourself. Don't go out there and not take vitamins. Don't go out there and not drink water. You really got to take care of your body, because they will work you, and it will be exhausting. But it's worth it 19 Entertainment was wonderful to me after I got off the show. They scheduled press interviews. They put me in magazines. They put me in, radio. They did a lot of things that they didn't have to, but they did. So they were really wonderful about that. So it's worth it, but you just need to make sure you stay on top of you and take care of yourself.
Then from American Idol, you did NBC's Country Showdown as well.
Yes, I did.
So American Idol and Country Showdown, was there a lot of major differences in the way both shows were operated and run, or kind of the same overall experience?
Oh, no. Totally different. The NBC Showdown starts primarily in radio. And so you have local rounds, state rounds, and then you have the national or regional rounds, and then you have your national final. And it actually took me 7 local rounds. 7 times before I made it to the first state round. And then I made it to the national final. And I prefer that better simply because with Idol you have maybe 90 seconds. If you're lucky, you'll get 90 seconds to make your point a cappella. Whereas with the Country Showdown, you get 2 songs. You can sing them to music. Usually they'll provide a band, and you have an audience. So that's how you're judged. You're judged on your performance, and you get extra points for writing your own material. And so there are big differences there where you actually get to showcase your talent as opposed to how can I cram everything I can do in about 30 seconds of time. So I did like that better about the Showdown, and but they're both really fabulous shows. And if you like country music, the Showdown is probably your best bet.
And being for someone with your background, that you do write your own songs, that you have performed a lot by that point at such a young age, that's probably more kind of in your wheelhouse to be on Country Showdown, kind of being more in your element.
Yeah, it was, and just the fact that I got to perform at the Ryman was huge. During my sound check, I got, all teary-eyed, thinking about singing where Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn had performed. So that really was a big stepping stone for me, and to know that so many artists out there wish that they could sing at the Ryman, and I've gotten to do it twice. It's just mind-blowing to me. That's who can say that? It's awesome.
They call it the Church of Country Music for a reason.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That's the birthplace of the Grand Ole Opry. It's huge, and that to me was probably one of my favorite parts of the Showdown. Just allowing me that opportunity to perform there. But yeah, they're both really great opportunities, and they get your name out there, which that's, I think, the big thing. And I like about the Country Showdown the lack of contracts. With American Idol, you sign contracts obligating you to do this, this, and this, and tying your time up for an extended amount of time. Whereas with the Country Showdown, you have contracts that you sign, but those are up the second the show airs. So you can do anything after that. Whereas with American Idol, you're tied in for a little bit longer. So, definitely read what you sign as well, because sometimes you sign things and you don't realize exactly what you signed into.
So really, this is the behind-the-scenes story of American Idol, it seems like, because there's just so much that you don't see on TV that someone who goes to audition might not be ready for, and then they go through to Hollywood, and they're tied up in whatever legal obligations they have to, and they might be like, well, I didn't sign on for all this initially.
Yeah, and it's kind of a catch-22 because you are required to sign the contracts to audition. And then in the contract it says you will sign anything else that they put in front of you.
So basically you're agreeing ahead of time that anything else that is basically kind of put in front of your face, you have to sign, no questions asked.
Exactly, exactly. So, I mean, but you do it because the opportunity is once in a lifetime. It's huge. So, but make sure that you read it. Don't just sign things willy-nilly, because if they say, hey, we own all the rights to your music, which if you're a songwriter, that's really important. So, I mean, and some people I know go in and they sing original material when they audition for Idol. I would advise against that, because if you sign the contract, you say that whatever I sing on Idol, I give you the rights to. But if you don't sing it on Idol, you know, they don't have the rights to it. So just make sure that you read it and really understand it, or if you don't, get an attorney to, you know, look over it, because when you're 16 and you don't understand that, sometimes you get yourself into sticky situations.
And it could be overwhelming, too.
Oh, very overwhelming. But, like I said, don't let that deter you. If you've got a dream, and, I mean, look what it did for Carrie Underwood. Look what it did for Kelly Pickler. And it certainly did some wonderful things for me as well. And I don't regret it. I know some people out there who really don't understand the scope of these contracts, and that's with everything in this industry. I mean, record labels will come to you and give you a contract. Well, and if you sign it without reading it and fully understanding what the contract says, so many people get in just really unfortunate situations.
And even in the case of Tim McGraw recently, too, with Curb Records, that was a big legal blow-up.
Oh, yes it was. Yes it was. And actually, HMG Nashville, who I am with, they did all of Tim's promotions for I think the length of his career. And so now they're, you know, stuck with Curb Records is saying this, and then I guess his new label. And I mean, it's just a big mess. But yeah, contracts, man, they'll get you. I mean, I've had to turn down some really exciting record deal opportunities, because then I read the contract and we're like, no.
Just not the best thing for your career in the future.
Yes. Well, and make sure, I mean, I think the big thing for songwriters out there is just don't sign away the rights to your songs. I mean, that's what Dolly Parton. Elvis Presley wanted to record I Will Always Love You. But when Elvis recorded a song, he there owned the rights to it. And she said no, which turned out to be the best move of her career. But at the time, everyone said, Dolly, you're nuts. Nobody big is going to want to record your song now that you're not going to give him the rights. And she said no. Then Whitney Houston went and cut it, and now she's, you know.
Look what happened.
Look what happened. So make sure you maintain the rights to your material. And I understand for songwriters out there who are struggling, it's not easy. And, you know, even I've been in that situation, and it's difficult. But you've got to stay true to yourself. And, you know, if you write a really good song, you've got to believe in it, and don't just sign it away to anyone.
And it turned out really good, because now you're with HMG Nashville, and you are writing your own material, and you have your full-length album coming out in the very near future. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I'm so excited. Like you said, I write my own material. I'm producing the album myself, and actually the first part of the album, it's all been funded by myself. So I brought y'all cookies because I was like an adult Girl Scout, and I baked cookies to sell and fund this album. So it's, like I said, it's not an inexpensive industry or an easy one to get into, but I'm really proud of the music and every cut that comes back now that's been engineered, and I get happier and happier.
And the debut single coming off the album is called You Should Know, so tell us a little bit about the single.
Oh, it's called You Should Know, and I actually wrote this. I have pet ducks, and they like it when I sing to them. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but they do. And it was a summer day, and I was outside just playing to them on my guitar, and the melody got stuck in my head. And I just started thinking about young love and first love and how that feels. And personally, I've not been on a date since 2007, but in my mind, new love is supposed to feel magical. And just the thought of, could he go to work, or could he just stay here and play hooky all day and hang out with me? And I thought, that's what every girl wants. That's what everyone wants, is to say, you know, I could be doing this, but I just really rather stay with you. So that's kind of what the song is about, just that first spark, see where it leads.
And you brought your guitar.
I did.
So would you mind performing You Should Know for us?
Oh, I would love to. I'd probably have to tune it up, though, because it is crazy cold outside, and that thing bows like it's nobody's business. Ooh, it's pretty.
You can take your time and tune if you need to.
All right, sounds good.